Standing beneath the towering stones of an ancient monument, you can almost feel the weight of time pressing down, the silent whispers of a civilization long gone, yet somehow still speaking to us through these colossal structures. What if I told you these stones aren't just relics of the past but precise celestial maps, their alignments pointing to cosmic events our ancestors witnessed and revered? Scattered across the globe, 28 megalithic stargates stand as silent sentinels, each one a puzzle waiting to be solved. From the rolling hills of England's Stonehenge to the sun-baked plains of Turkey's Gobekli Tepe, these monuments defy simple explanation. They challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient cultures and their connection to the stars. Think about it. How did civilizations separated by thousands of miles and centuries somehow build structures with such uncanny astronomical precision? Were they tracking solstices, predicting eclipses, or marking something even more profound, events lost to the sands of time? The more we study these sites, the more questions arise. Some align with the rising sun on the equinox, while others frame the moon at its most distant point in the sky. Others seem to point to stars that no longer shine as brightly as they once did. What celestial secrets were these ancient architects trying to preserve? And why did so many cultures with no apparent contact share this obsession with the heavens? This isn't just a story about stones. It's a story about us, about humanity's relentless drive to understand the cosmos and our place within it. These megalithic stargates are more than archaeological curiosities. They're windows into a forgotten world where the sky was a living, breathing part of daily life. Over the next few minutes, we'll journey through the most compelling theories, the groundbreaking discoveries, and the lingering mysteries that surround these enigmatic structures. By the end, you might just see the night sky and our ancestors in a whole new light. So let's step through these ancient gateways together and uncover what they've been trying to tell us for millennia. Imagine a structure so precisely engineered that sunlight pierces through its passageway only once a year, on the shortest day of winter, flooding an inner chamber with golden light for just 17 fleeting minutes. This isn't science fiction. It's Newgrange, a 5,000-year-old tomb in Ireland that doubles as one of the world's most sophisticated celestial calendars. Megalithic stargates like this defy the stereotype of ancient peoples as primitive. They weren't just stacking stones, they were encoding the movements of the heavens into the very landscape. Take the sun dagger of Choco Canyon, where a sliver of light slices between towering rocks to strike a spiral petroglyph, but only during the summer solstice. Or consider Egypt's great temple of Karnak, where the axis of the sanctuary aligns with the winter solstice sunrise, bathing the statues of the gods in light. These aren't coincidences, they're deliberate, painstaking achievements that required generations of observation. The builders didn't just notice the stars, they conversed with them, turning rock and earth into a language of celestial events. What sets stargates apart from ordinary megaliths is their specificity. While Stonehenge's famous heel stone marks the summer solstice sunrise, lesser-known sites like Mnajdra in Mol to track the equinoxes with razor-thin precision. The difference: stargates often target singular, dramatic moments, eclipses, planetary alignments, or even the cyclical return of comets. At Peru's Chanquillo, 13 towers form an artificial horizon, functioning like a stone-built observatory to track the sun's entire yearly journey. But here's the mystery: why go to such lengths? Some argue these were agricultural calendars, signaling planting seasons. Others see them as sacred spaces where the boundary between earth and sky grew thin, where rituals could harness cosmic power. The truth may be both. In cultures where the sky was a living tapestry of gods and omens, predicting an eclipse wasn't just science, it was survival. To align a monument with the heavens was to tether human destiny to the cosmos itself. And yet, the most haunting question remains: how did so many cultures, from the Boyne Valley to the Andes, arrive at such similar ideas without contact? The recurring patterns, solstice alignments, light chambers, and shadow play hint at something universal. Perhaps it wasn't just about marking time, but about remembering. These stargates may be frozen echoes of celestial events so extraordinary, so transformative, that our ancestors felt compelled to carve them into stone, ensuring they'd never be forgotten. From the windswept moors of Scotland's Callanish stones to the mist-shrouded peaks of Peru's Sacsayhuaman, these 28 megalithic stargates form a silent network stretching across the globe. It's as if an invisible thread connects them, a shared blueprint hidden in plain sight. Consider Karnak in Brittany, France, where over 3,000 standing stones march across the landscape in eerie rows, some aligned with the rising sun on the solstice. Then there's Peru's Ollantaytambo, where the Temple of the Sun frames the June solstice sunrise with razor-sharp accuracy. Even more striking, both sites use nearly identical techniques: sloping walls that channel sunlight, precise angles that catch the first rays of dawn, and stones placed to magnify celestial events. How could cultures separated by oceans and millennia arrive at such similar solutions? One theory suggests they were all responding to the same celestial phenomena. Imagine a comet streaking across the sky, bright enough to be seen from every continent, or a rare planetary alignment so dramatic it became etched into collective memory. The Gobekli Tepe carvings in Turkey, dating back 12,000 years, depict what some researchers believe could be a recording of the Taurid meteor stream, a catastrophic event that may have shaped human mythology worldwide. If our ancestors witnessed something extraordinary in the heavens, it would explain why they built monuments to track, commemorate, and perhaps even predict its return. But the connections go deeper than just alignment. The Egyptian pyramids at Giza mirror the three stars of Orion's belt as they appeared in 2500 BCE, while Cambodia's Angkor Wat temples are arranged to mirror the Draco constellation. Half a world apart, both cultures chose to ground the cosmos in stone. Even more perplexing, some stargates seem to reference stars that have since shifted position due to Earth's wobble on its axis, meaning their builders were calculating celestial movements over vast timescales. The most tantalizing clue lies in the numbers. Many of these sites incorporate mathematical constants like pi or the golden ratio into their designs. Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids are spaced to mirror the distances between planets in our solar system, while China's ancient observatories used precise geometric patterns to track lunar cycles. This isn't just rudimentary sky watching, it's advanced astronomy encoded in architecture. Whether through trade, migration, or some forgotten connection, these cultures may have shared a foundational understanding of the heavens, one that transcended language and geography. Yet the greatest mystery isn't how they built these stargates, but why they felt compelled to do so with such urgency and precision. Were they creating early warning systems for cosmic disasters? Sacred spaces to commune with the divine, or perhaps these monuments were meant to last, a message in stone, waiting for future civilizations to decipher their celestial code. As we piece together the puzzle, one thing becomes clear. Our ancestors saw the sky not as a distant void, but as a living clock, a map, and a storybook, one they went to extraordinary lengths to preserve. Stonehenge rises from the Salisbury Plain like a silent riddle carved in stone, its massive pillars standing guard over secrets older than the pyramids. While most recognize its iconic silhouette, few grasp the true sophistication of this ancient celestial calculator. Every year, crowds gather to witness the summer solstice sunrise perfectly framed by the heel stone, a spectacle so precise it couldn't be accidental. But this alignment is just the beginning. The inner horseshoe of blue stones mirrors the moon's 18.6-year cycle, a pattern so complex it would take generations to observe and encode into architecture. Archaeologists recently discovered pits near the site that once held wooden posts, marking lunar standstills, the points where the moon pauses at its farthest extremes in the sky. This suggests Stonehenge wasn't just tracking the sun, but orchestrating a cosmic dance between solar and lunar events. Imagine the knowledge required to predict eclipses centuries in advance, using nothing but stone and shadow. Some researchers argue the Aubrey holes, a ring of pits encircling the monument, functioned as a primitive eclipse calculator, with markers moved yearly to forecast celestial phenomena. Yet the question lingers, why invest such effort? For the builders, this may have been more than astronomy, it was cosmology. The arrangement of the sarsen stones mirrors sacred numbers found in ancient myths, while the blue stones, hauled over 150 miles from Wales, were believed to hold healing properties tied to the stars. Could Stonehenge have been a bridge between worlds, where rituals synchronized earthly life with celestial rhythms? Druidic traditions speak of the site as a portal where the veil between realms grew thin, a notion echoed in global Stargate legends. Theories abound, from the plausible to the provocative. Mainstream archaeology favors its role as a ceremonial complex, while fringe researchers point to its acoustic properties. Certain stones resonate at frequencies that alter brain activity, hinting at shamanic use. Even more startling, ground-penetrating radar revealed a vast network of hidden shafts and chambers beneath the site, suggesting Stonehenge is merely the tip of a much larger, undiscovered system. What makes Stonehenge unique among megalithic stargates is its layered purpose. It's not just a calendar or temple, but a multidimensional puzzle. The alignment of its avenues with nearby burial mounds implies a journey, both for the departed and the living, mirrored in the heavens. As the sun and moon cycled overhead, so too did human stories intertwine with the cosmos. Today, as lasers scan its surfaces and satellites map its hidden geometry, Stonehenge still whispers its most guarded secret, that our ancestors didn't just observe the sky, they spoke its language, and we've yet to fully decipher the message. Buried beneath the Turkish soil for 12,000 years, Gobekli Tepe emerges as the ultimate archaeological enigma, a structure so ancient it predates agriculture, pottery, even permanent human settlements. Yet here stands a complex of towering limestone pillars, each meticulously carved with foxes, scorpions, and vultures, arranged in precise circles that mirror the night sky. This isn't just the world's oldest known temple. It's a stone-built observatory that challenges everything we thought we knew about early human ingenuity. The T-shaped pillars, some weighing over 16 tons, aren't merely decorative. Researchers studying their alignment discovered something astonishing. The central pillars in enclosure D point directly toward Sirius, the brightest star in our night sky. But here's what defies explanation. 12 millennia ago, Sirius would have appeared in a slightly different position due to Earth's axial precession. The builders didn't just mark the star's location, they accounted for celestial drift over vast timescales, suggesting generations of accumulated astronomical knowledge. Even more intriguing, the animal carvings may be more than symbolic art. The fox, boar, and crane depictions align with specific star patterns, forming what some researchers believe is a zodiac carved in stone, a celestial codex predating Babylonian astronomy by thousands of years. What makes Gobekli Tepe unique among megalithic stargates is its sheer antiquity. While Stonehenge and the pyramids were built by established civilizations, this site was crafted by hunter-gatherers, nomads who supposedly lacked the tools or organization for such feats. The limestone pillars were quarried from nearby ridges, then shaped using flint tools with precision that rivals modern masonry. The circular enclosures, buried intentionally over centuries, suggest ritualistic cycles tied to celestial events. One theory posits that the site's burial wasn't abandonment but preservation, a time capsule meant to safeguard sacred knowledge. The most provocative clue lies in the Pillar 43, dubbed the Vulture Stone. Its carvings depict a scorpion, a bird, and a circle with a small figure beneath, a scene some interpret as recording a catastrophic comet impact around 10,900 BCE. Ice core samples from Greenland reveal a spike in platinum at this exact time, evidence of a cosmic collision that may have triggered the Younger Dryas cooling period. If true, Gobekli Tepe's builders weren't just stargazers, they were cosmic historians etching warnings of celestial disasters into stone. Why does this rewrite human history? Because it implies that astronomy, and perhaps civilization itself, didn't evolve gradually, but was sparked by an urgent need to understand the skies. The precision of Gobekli Tepe's alignments hints at a lost epoch of scientific inquiry, one where tracking stars wasn't abstract curiosity but survival. When the site's builders carved their pillars, the last ice age was just ending. Were they creating a celestial anchor, a way to predict the next cosmic upheaval? Or were these circles meant to mirror the heavens, creating sacred space where earth and sky converged? As excavations continue, each discovery deepens the mystery. Hidden chambers may lie unopened, and new carvings emerge from the limestone, each one a potential key to decoding humanity's oldest conversation with the cosmos. What's certain is this: Gobekli Tepe forces us to reconsider not just the timeline of astronomy, but the very nature of human progress. If hunter-gatherers could map the stars with such accuracy, what other wisdom have we forgotten? The stones whisper a tantalizing truth, that our ancestors' eyes weren't fixed on the ground, but on the infinite, and their greatest monuments were built to bridge the gap between earth and sky. Deep in Ireland's Boyne Valley, Newgrange rises from the earth like a time-worn sentinel, its white quartz facade shimmering under the winter sky. But step inside, and you'll find more than a tomb. You'll discover a 5,000-year-old celestial machine. At dawn on the winter solstice, something extraordinary happens. A narrow beam of sunlight pierces the roof box above the entrance, creeping down the long passageway until it floods the central chamber with golden light. This phenomenon lasts exactly 17 minutes before vanishing for another year. The precision is staggering. The passage aligns with the solstice sunrise at an angle so exact that even a 1-degree deviation would throw the entire event into darkness. What's even more remarkable is how the builders achieved this without modern tools. The roof box isn't just a hole, it's a carefully engineered slit designed to filter and direct sunlight, compensating for the sun's low angle in winter. The passage itself slopes upward, ensuring the light reaches the chamber's rear wall, and those mysterious spiral carvings covering the stones, they may hold the key to Newgrange's purpose. Some researchers believe these interconnected coils represent the sun's cyclical journey, a symbol of death and rebirth mirrored in the solstice's promise of returning light. Others suggest they map celestial patterns or even ancient DNA strands, encoding knowledge we've yet to decipher. But was Newgrange primarily a tomb or a temple? The bones found inside suggest burial rites, yet the solstice alignment hints at something grander, a bridge between the living and the divine. Celtic myths speak of the otherworld, a realm accessible at liminal moments like the solstice. Could the chamber have been a portal where priests or shamans communed with ancestors or gods during those sacred 17 minutes? The duality is striking, a scientific observatory wrapped in spiritual symbolism where astronomy and mythology intertwined. Newgrange's true genius lies in its layers of meaning. The surrounding mounds and standing stones form a larger astronomical complex, with nearby sites like Noth and Douth marking equinoxes and lunar events. Together, they suggest a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics passed down through generations. The builders didn't just track the sun, they ritualized its movements, turning stone and light into a language of cosmic connection. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't how they built it, but why they chose this specific alignment. The winter solstice marks the year's darkest moment, a time when ancient societies feared the sun might not return. By capturing its light in the deepest chamber, Newgrange's architects may have been performing a kind of sympathetic magic, ensuring the sun's rebirth. Or was it a celestial clock signaling a time for renewal, both for the land and the souls within? As modern laser scans reveal hidden carvings and acoustic studies uncover the chamber's resonant frequencies, Newgrange continues to guard its secrets. One thing is certain, this wasn't just a monument to the dead, but a living dialogue with the cosmos. In those 17 minutes of solstice light, the past whispers to us across millennia, reminding us that our ancestors didn't just fear the dark, they mastered it, one precisely placed stone at a time. High on the sandstone cliffs of New Mexico's Choco Canyon, an unassuming spiral carving hides an astronomical secret. During the summer solstice, a sliver of sunlight slices between two towering rock slabs, forming a dagger of light that perfectly bisects the center of the spiral, a phenomenon so precise it couldn't possibly be accidental. But this isn't just a trick of light and shadow. It's a meticulously engineered solar calendar crafted by the ancestral Pueblones over 1,000 years ago. The sun dagger, as it's now known, doesn't just mark the solstice. At the equinoxes, twin daggers of light frame the spiral, and during the winter solstice, a single beam grazes its edge before vanishing. This intricate interplay of rock and light reveals an understanding of celestial mechanics that rivals modern observatories. What's truly remarkable is how the ancestral Pueblones achieved this without written records or metal tools. They studied the sun's path across the sky for generations, noting how its position shifted with the seasons. Then, they carefully selected this specific rock face and painstakingly pecked the spiral into the stone, positioning it so the surrounding cliffs would act as a natural aperture. The result, a solar calendar that requires no moving parts, yet tracks the year's most critical moments with surgical precision. But why go to such lengths? For a culture dependent on agriculture in an unforgiving desert, predicting seasonal changes wasn't just practical, it was a matter of survival. The sun dagger may have signaled the optimal time to plant crops or prepare for winter rains. Yet the spiritual dimension is undeniable. In Puebloan cosmology, the spiral symbolizes emergence, the journey from the underworld to the present world. The way sunlight interacts with the carving suggests it wasn't just a tool but a sacred interface between earth and sky. Some researchers believe the dagger of light represented the presence of celestial beings, a moment when the boundary between worlds grew thin. Others point to nearby petroglyphs of celestial events, like the supernova of 1054 CE, suggesting Choco Canyon was an astronomical archive where sky and stone converged. The mystery deepens when you consider the canyon's larger layout. The sun dagger isn't an isolated feature but part of an elaborate celestial network. Pueblo Bonito, the canyon's largest structure, aligns with the lunar standstill cycle, a phenomenon that occurs only every 18.6 years. Meanwhile, the Great North Road stretches straight as an arrow for 30 miles, possibly mirroring the Milky Way's path across the night sky. These connections hint at a society deeply attuned to cosmic rhythms, where architecture and astronomy were inseparable. What makes the sun dagger extraordinary is its duality. It's both a farmer's almanac and a priest's oracle, a fusion of practicality and spirituality that defies modern categorization. Unlike Egyptian pyramids or Stonehenge, built by centralized states with vast resources, this was created by a people who left no written explanation, only stone and light whispering across centuries. As the solstice sun climbs the cliffs today, casting its dagger onto the ancient spiral, we're left to wonder, were the ancestral pueblones merely tracking time, or were they capturing something far more profound, the heartbeat of the cosmos itself? The Great Pyramid of Giza stands not just as a tomb but as a celestial cipher, its limestone blocks whispering secrets of the stars. 4 narrow shafts, each no wider than a human torso, pierce the pyramid's heart, 2 pointing to Orion's belt, 2 targeting Sirius, the brightest star in Egypt's night sky. These alignments aren't approximate, they're mathematically precise, matching the star's positions in 2500 BC when the pyramid was built. For the ancient Egyptians, these stars weren't just points of light, they were portals. Orion represented Osiris, god of the afterlife, while Sirius symbolized Isis, the mother of rebirth. The pyramid's shafts, then, weren't ventilation channels as once thought, but celestial pathways designed to guide the pharaoh's soul directly to the gods. Could this be more than symbolism? Some researchers argue the pyramids functioned as literal stargates, architectural devices, harnessing cosmic energy to transcend physical limits. The king's chamber, with its granite sarcophagus, resonates at a frequency matching Earth's natural pulse, leading fringe theorists to suggest it was a vibrational gateway. Even mainstream Egyptologists acknowledge the pyramid's geometric perfection. The Great Pyramid's base aligns with true north within a fraction of a degree. Its dimensions encode the golden ratio, and its perimeter matches Earth's circumference scaled down by 43,200. These aren't random numbers, they're fingerprints of a civilization that mapped the heavens onto the Earth. The controversy deepens when you consider the pyramid texts, ancient inscriptions describing the pharaoh's journey through the Duat, the starry realm of the dead. One passage reads, "The sky's door opens for you, the gods rejoice at meeting you." Could this be metaphorical poetry or a technical manual for astral travel? The pyramid's alignment with the Milky Way's dark rift, a region the Maya also revered as a cosmic gateway, adds another layer of intrigue. From Teotihuacan to Giza, cultures worldwide built monuments mirroring this celestial threshold, as if following some universal blueprint. Mainstream archaeology maintains the pyramids were elaborate tombs, yet their astronomical sophistication defies easy explanation. How did the Egyptians, without telescopes or written records of advanced math, calculate celestial alignments over millennia? The Orion correlation theory proposes the Giza plateau mirrors Orion's belt's configuration in 10,500 BC, a date preceding Egyptian civilization by thousands of years. This has led some to speculate about lost knowledge, perhaps inherited from a precursor culture like Atlantis or survivors of a global cataclysm. Others point to the pyramid's missing capstone, theorizing it once focused energy like a cosmic antenna. What's undeniable is the pyramid's enduring mystery. Modern laser scans reveal hidden chambers and anomalous voids, while quantum physicists study the structure's ability to concentrate electromagnetic energy in their inner rooms. Whether tombs, temples, or technology, the pyramids challenge our assumptions about ancient ingenuity. As the desert wind hums through the shafts, one truth echoes across ages. The Egyptians didn't just bury their dead in these monuments, they launched them toward the stars, turning stone into a bridge between worlds. Perched at nearly 8,000 feet above sea level, Machu Picchu's Intihuatana stone rises like a frozen bolt of lightning, its smooth, carved angles defying both time and gravity. The name itself, Hitching Post of the Sun, reveals its sacred purpose. The Inca believed this stone physically anchored the sun to the earth, preventing it from abandoning the world during the winter solstice. But this wasn't mere mythology. On the shortest day of the year, the Intihuatana's shadow vanishes completely at noon, a phenomenon so precise it could only result from meticulous astronomical observation. The stone's four corners align with the cardinal directions, while its central pillar acts like a gnomon, casting shadows that mark seasonal transitions with uncanny accuracy. What's astonishing is how the Inca achieved this without written records or metal tools. Using nothing but ropes, water levels, and generations of celestial observation, they shaped granite with such precision that the Intihuatana's angles account for Machu Picchu's latitude, meaning its shadow play wouldn't work correctly if moved even a few miles. The stone's base is carved to match the natural tilt of the surrounding mountains, integrating earthly and celestial geometry into a single sacred instrument. This wasn't just a calendar, it was a cosmic anchor, a tool to harmonize human life with the rhythms of the universe. The Intihuatana's true genius lies in its duality. By day, it tracked the sun's journey, signaling planting and harvest times. By night, its alignment with the Southern Cross and other constellations suggests it may have also functioned as a stellar observatory. For the Inca, the boundary between astronomy and spirituality didn't exist. The stone's shadow wasn't just a marker of time, it was the sun's umbilical cord, tethering the divine to the earthly realm. Spanish chroniclers wrote of Inca priests conducting rituals during solstices, pouring offerings of chicha corn beer into the stone's grooves as the sun's light reached its zenith, symbolizing the renewal of cosmic balance. Yet the Intihuatana's secrets go deeper. Recent laser scans reveal microscopic wear patterns suggesting the stone was adjusted over centuries, fine-tuned like a celestial instrument to compensate for subtle shifts in Earth's axis. This implies the Inca weren't just passive observers of the heavens but active participants in a dialogue with the cosmos. The stone's location at Machu Picchu's highest point reinforces this. It wasn't just a tool but a portal, a place where the sky could be tied down and the gods appeased. What makes the Intihuatana unique among megalithic stargates is its fragility. Unlike Stonehenge or the pyramids, this wasn't built to last millennia. The Spanish destroyed most Intihuatana stones during their conquest, believing them idolatrous. Machu Picchu survived only because it was hidden atop an inaccessible mountain. Today, visitors can still witness the solstice alignment, a fleeting moment when the stone's shadow disappears, as if the sun itself has been harnessed. It's a reminder that for the Inca, the universe wasn't an abstract concept but a living, breathing force, one they sought to bind to the earth, not with chains but with stone and shadow. Stretching across the Breton countryside like a petrified army, the Karnak stones stand in eerie formation row after row of weathered monoliths marching toward the horizon. Over 3,000 stones, some towering 15 feet high, arranged with geometric precision across 4 miles of French landscape. Unlike solitary megaliths or circular monuments, Karnak's alignments form parallel avenues, as if charting invisible ley lines between earth and sky. During the equinoxes, the sun rises perfectly along the central axis of the Grand Menhir Brisset, casting long shadows that connect the stones like a celestial switchboard. But the alignments don't stop there. Recent surveys reveal that certain rows also frame the moon at its southernmost standstill, an event occurring only once every 18.6 years. The scale of Karnak defies simple explanation. To move these stones, some weighing over 300 tons, required coordinated effort across generations. Unlike Egypt's pyramids or Stonehenge, built by centralized kingdoms, Karnak emerged from a decentralized Neolithic society. This suggests something extraordinary, a shared celestial vision so compelling it united scattered communities for centuries. The stones themselves offer clues. Many are carved with cup marks or serpentine patterns that may represent stars or comets. One recurring motif, the shield idol, resembles a figure holding what could be a cosmic object. Archaeoastronomers note that the densest concentrations of these carvings align with specific lunar phases, hinting at a ritual calendar woven into the landscape. Debate rages over Karnak's purpose. Some argue it was a massive open-air observatory where priests tracked solstices and eclipses. Others see it as a sacred pathway, guiding initiates through astronomical knowledge encoded in stone. The most provocative theory comes from researcher Howard Crowhurst, who proposes the alignments form a giant Earth clock. By following the angles between rows, one can calculate dates spanning thousands of years, perhaps predicting celestial events like the return of comets or meteor showers. This would explain why certain stones were deliberately toppled and repositioned over time, as if recalibrating an ancient cosmic calculator. What cosmic event could justify such effort? The answer may lie in the soil. Sediment cores from nearby estuaries show a layer of microscopic glass spherules, evidence of a comet or asteroid impact around 5200 BC, coinciding with Karnak's earliest phases. Breton legends speak of a fire from heaven that reshaped the land, and the alignment known as Lagayant du Manio points directly toward the suspected impact zone in the Atlantic. Were the stones raised as both warning and memorial, a testament to humanity's vulnerability and resilience in the face of celestial forces? The most haunting aspect of Karnak isn't its size but its silence. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian tablets, the builders left no written explanations. Their knowledge survives only in alignments and angles, a language of stone and shadow. As drones map the site's hidden geometry and ground-penetrating radar reveals buried chambers, we're left to ponder. Was Karnak a Neolithic university, a cosmic cathedral, or something more urgent, a beacon meant to outlast time itself, ensuring that even if the people perished, their celestial wisdom would endure? The stones keep their secrets, but each equinox sunrise whispers a tantalizing truth. Our ancestors didn't just live under the sky, they conversed with it, and Karnak may be their clearest love letter to the stars. High atop Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, the ruins of Baalbek loom like a question carved in stone. A sprawling temple complex where the Romans built their grandest monuments atop foundations so massive, so inexplicably ancient, that they defy conventional history. The so-called trilithon stones at the base of Jupiter's temple weigh nearly 800 tons each. 3 colossal blocks fitted together with such precision you couldn't slide a razor blade between them. But here's what baffles engineers. Even today, with modern cranes and hydraulics, moving stones of this size would be a Herculean feat. How did an ancient culture, long before the Romans, quarry, transport, and position these megaliths with such flawless accuracy? The alignment of Baalbek's original platform adds another layer of mystery. The entire complex is oriented toward the rising of the Pleiades, the star cluster revered across ancient cultures as a celestial gateway. Phoenician texts describe Baalbek as a place where gods descended to earth, while later Roman inscriptions refer to it as the threshold of the gods. This wasn't just poetic flourish. The temple's inner sanctum housed a meteorite, a literal stone from heaven, worshipped as a conduit between realms. Could the site's original builders have been marking something more concrete than myth? Some researchers point to the platform's unusual vibration-absorbing properties, noting how the megalithic foundations dampen seismic activity, almost as if designed to stabilize something heavy or something landing. Local folklore preserves tantalizing clues. Arab chroniclers recorded legends of a giant named Nimrod who built Baalbek's platform to reach the heavens, while medieval texts speak of fire from the sky that once struck the site. Even more intriguing, the pre-Roman stones show weathering patterns consistent with water erosion, yet Baalbek sits high above any floodplain, suggesting these blocks might have been repurposed from an even older structure, one dating back to a time when the region's climate was radically different. Theories about Baalbek's origins range from the plausible to the extraordinary. Mainstream archaeologists attribute the megalithic base to the Phoenicians, who left no written records of its construction. Alternative researchers propose connections to a lost civilization, pointing to similarities with other global megalithic sites like Peru's Sacsayhuaman or Egypt's Osirian, where polygonal stonework defies explanation. The most provocative suggestion comes from ancient astronaut theorists who highlight Baalbek's flat, runway-like platform and its strategic elevation, ideal for aerial observation. Whether you dismiss or entertain these ideas, one fact remains undeniable. The Romans, master builders themselves, saw fit to construct their largest temple atop these foundations, as if consecrating ground already deemed sacred by forces lost to time. What sets Baalbek apart from other megalithic stargates is its sheer audacity. While Stonehenge and Newgrange align with celestial events, Baalbek's platform seems designed to accommodate something physical, something massive. The precision of the trilithon stones suggests engineering knowledge that shouldn't exist in the timeline we've constructed. As satellite imaging reveals hidden chambers beneath the complex and geologists debate the unnatural composition of the megaliths, Baalbek whispers a persistent riddle. Were these stones meant to honor the gods, to call them down, or to withstand their arrival? The Romans believed they were building atop a sacred site, but perhaps the truth is far older, buried not just beneath their temples, but beneath the very foundations of history itself. Nestled on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, the ruins of Delphi still radiate an otherworldly presence, a place where earth and sky once converged in ways we're only beginning to understand. The Temple of Apollo, home to the legendary oracle, wasn't just a spiritual center, it was a meticulously aligned observatory. During the autumn equinox, the rising sun strikes the temple's eastern doorway, flooding the inner sanctum with light, a phenomenon mirrored by the Pleiades star cluster's alignment with the site's sacred springs. This wasn't coincidence. The Greeks called Delphi the Omphalos, the navel of the world, but its true significance might lie in its function as a cosmic switchboard, channeling celestial energies into prophetic visions. What made the oracle's prophecies so unnervingly accurate? Ancient sources describe the Pythia, the priestess of Apollo, breathing in vapors rising from a chasm beneath the temple before delivering her cryptic pronouncements. Modern geology confirms the presence of ethylene gas in the region's springs, a neurotoxic compound known to induce trance states, but there's more to the story. The temple's orientation coincides with the heliacal rising of the Pleiades, an event linked to agricultural cycles and navigation across Mediterranean cultures. Could the oracle's trances have been timed to celestial events, her visions amplified by the interplay of subterranean gases and cosmic alignments? The deeper you dig into Delphi's design, the more its astronomical sophistication emerges. The temple's Aditon, the chamber where the Pythia prophesied, was constructed over two fault lines that crisscross like an X beneath the floor, a natural amplifier for Earth's electromagnetic fields. Recent studies show these fields can alter human brain activity, heightening suggestibility and vivid mental imagery. Combine this with the Pleiades alignment, a star cluster associated with divine feminine energy in Greek myth, and you have a recipe for transcendent experience. The Pythia didn't just predict the future. She may have been tapping into a primal interface between geology and astronomy, where the Earth's pulse met the stars' rhythms. Delphi's legacy extends beyond Greece. The same Pleiades alignment appears at Teotihuacan in Mexico and Egypt's Temple of Hathor, sites also linked to oracular prophecy. This recurring pattern hints at a lost science of sacred geography, where certain locations were chosen not just for practical reasons, but for their ability to harness cosmic and terrestrial energies. The Greeks believed Apollo's chariot carried the sun across the sky, but perhaps the real chariot was Delphi itself, a vehicle for transporting human consciousness across the threshold of ordinary perception. The most haunting question isn't how the oracle worked, but why this precise alignment mattered so profoundly. In a world without electric lights, the Pleiades' visibility marked the sailing season's end and the onset of winter's introspection. By synchronizing prophecy with this celestial pivot point, Delphi's priests may have been doing more than reading omens. They were aligning human destiny with the cosmos' turning wheel. Today, as astronomers map the temple's precise alignments and geologists measure its subterranean currents, we're left to wonder, were the ancients merely stargazers, or did they possess a forgotten wisdom, one that saw the universe not as a clockwork mechanism, but as a living conversation between earth and sky? The stones of Delphi no longer speak, but their silence echoes with possibility. Etched into the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca lines stretch across nearly 200 square miles of desert, a sprawling canvas of giant geometric shapes, spirals, and animal figures so massive they can only be fully appreciated from the air. A hummingbird with wings spanning 300 feet, a spider with legs perfectly proportioned to the Fibonacci sequence, a monkey with a tail coiled into a sacred spiral. These aren't just random sketches. They're precision-crafted designs, some stretching over half a mile, their lines as straight as laser beams despite being created over 2,000 years ago without the aid of modern tools. But what if these colossal drawings weren't meant for human eyes at all? What if they were messages to the gods, or perhaps star maps etched into the earth? The astronomical connections are impossible to ignore. Certain Nazca lines align with the winter solstice sunrise, while others point directly to the setting positions of significant stars like Sirius and Orion. The famous arrow formation, a series of straight lines converging at a single point, aligns with the Pleiades star clusters rising during the harvest season, a celestial event the Nazca likely associated with rain and fertility. Even more striking, the animal figures may mirror constellations as they appeared in the first millennium CE. The spider, for instance, bears an uncanny resemblance to the Orion constellation when overlaid with certain star patterns, its elongated legs matching the alignment of key stars. How did a culture without written language achieve such precision? The Nazca used a simple but ingenious method, stakes and ropes. By driving wooden stakes into the ground and stretching cords between them, they could create perfectly straight lines spanning miles. But the real mystery lies in their celestial calculations. Without telescopes or written records, they tracked the subtle shifts of stars over generations, encoding this knowledge into the desert floor. Some researchers believe the lines functioned as a giant astronomical calendar, marking the optimal times for planting, harvesting, and ceremonial events. Others suggest they were ritual pathways walked by priests during sacred ceremonies to symbolically travel the constellations. The most provocative theory comes from researchers who argue the Nazca lines were part of a vast geoglyphic communication system, not for humans but for celestial beings. Local myths speak of sky gods who descended from the stars, and the line's sheer scale suggests they were meant to be seen from above. Could the Nazca have created these designs as offerings or signals to entities they believed watched from the heavens? The desert's stable climate has preserved the lines for centuries, as if the Nazca intended their work to endure until the gods returned. Yet the absence of written records leaves room for debate. Skeptics argue the alignments could be coincidental, noting that with hundreds of lines crisscrossing the desert, some are bound to match celestial events by chance. But the statistical probability of so many alignments occurring randomly is vanishingly small. The Nazca's understanding of the cosmos was likely woven into their daily lives. Their irrigation systems, their textiles, even their pottery designs echo the same geometric precision found in the lines. What makes the Nazca lines unique among megalithic stargates is their impermanence. Unlike stone monuments, these designs are fragile, shallow grooves scratched into the desert surface, vulnerable to a single heavy rain. Yet they've survived, a testament to the Nazca's intimate knowledge of their environment. The lines weren't just astronomical tools, they were a bridge between earth and sky, a way to anchor the chaotic movements of the heavens into the stable, sacred geography of the desert. As drones and satellites reveal new patterns buried beneath the sand, one thing becomes clear: the Nazca didn't just observe the stars, they brought them down to Earth, turning the entire desert into a mirror of the cosmos above. The winding stone staircase of El Caracol rises from the jungle like a coiled serpent, its narrow windows piercing the thick walls at precise angles. This isn't just an ancient Mayan tower, it's a stone-built telescope, a celestial calculator designed to track the dance of Venus across the night sky. The windows align with the planet's extreme positions on the horizon, marking its 8-year cycle with uncanny accuracy. But Venus wasn't just a point of light to the Maya. It was Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god whose movements dictated war, agriculture, and sacred rituals. The precision of El Caracol's alignments reveals a sophistication that rivals modern observatories. Every curve of its spiral design, every slit in its walls, served as a calibrated instrument for reading the heavens. What's truly staggering is the scale of their observations. The Maya didn't just track Venus, they mapped its entire 584-day synodic period, predicting its appearances centuries in advance. Their Dresden Codex contains pages of Venus tables so accurate they are off by just 2 hours over 500 years. But the celestial mastery doesn't stop there. At Kapon's Temple of the Inscriptions, hieroglyphs detail a lunar cycle lasting 29.53086 days, a figure matching modern calculations to the 4th decimal place. How did a civilization without glass lenses or metal tools achieve such precision? The answer lies in generations of priest astronomers who spent lifetimes recording celestial movements on bark paper, their observations refined over centuries into a flawless cosmic clockwork. The deeper mystery is whether this knowledge originated with the Maya or was inherited. Their long count calendar begins in 3100 BC, a date with no clear significance in their own history. Some researchers point to the Olmecs, an earlier Mesoamerican culture whose colossal head sculptures gaze skyward with peculiar intensity. At the ruined city of La Venta, an Olmec mosaic pavement depicts a jaguar mask aligned with the Pleiades, evidence they too were keen celestial observers. Could the Maya have refined Olmec astronomy, or did both cultures draw from a much older source? The Popol Vuh, the Maya's sacred text, speaks of sky gods who brought knowledge to humanity, hinting at forgotten teachers lost to time. What sets Mayan astronomy apart is its fusion of science and spirituality. Their observatories weren't cold laboratories but sacred spaces where mathematics met mythology. At Uxmal, the governor's palace aligns with Venus's southernmost rise, while its facade carvings show celestial serpents entwined with numerical glyphs. This duality reflects a worldview where planets were deities and eclipses were cosmic battles requiring human intervention. Priests performed bloodletting rituals during celestial events, believing their sacrifices maintained the universe's balance. The famous Dresden Codex even contains instructions for calculating solar eclipses, not just as astronomical phenomena, but as moments when the sun god needed nourishment to continue his journey. The most haunting evidence of their prowess lies in the ruins of Tikal. Here, Temple 4's roof comb frames the Milky Way during the zenith passage when the sun stands directly overhead, casting no shadow. The Maya called this the day the sky rests on the earth, a moment when the boundary between worlds dissolved. Modern laser scans reveal hidden chambers beneath the temple, their walls inscribed with star charts matching the sky as it appeared in 200 CE. This wasn't just observation, it was time travel through astronomy, a way to anchor their present to the cosmic past and future. Today, as archaeologists decode more glyphs and astronomers verify the Mayans' calculations, we're left with a humbling truth. Their primitive stargazers achieved feats we're only now fully appreciating. While Europe languished in the Dark Ages, Maya astronomers were charting the galaxy's movements with a precision that would take the West another 1,000 years to match. Their legacy whispers a provocative question: did they simply watch the stars, or did they, like their temples, build bridges between earth and sky? The stones of El Caracol keep their secrets, but each equinox, when shadows slither down Chichen Itza's pyramid like Kukulkan descending, we catch a fleeting glimpse of a science so advanced it blurred the line between heaven and earth. At dawn on the spring equinox, a celestial miracle unfolds over Cambodia's jungle canopy. The sun climbs precisely over Angkor Wat's central tower, its golden light pouring down the temple's tiered galleries like liquid fire, an alignment so exact it couldn't possibly be accidental. This 12th-century-old masterpiece isn't just architecture, it's a stone hymn to the cosmos. The entire complex mirrors the Hindu universe, with its concentric moats representing cosmic oceans and its 5 towers symbolizing Mount Meru, the mythological axis of the world. But look closer, and you'll find something even more astonishing. Angkor Wat's dimensions encode precise astronomical relationships. The temple's western gate aligns with the setting sun on the equinox, while its outer gallery's bas-reliefs depict not just mythical battles but celestial events, constellations, eclipses, and planetary conjunctions frozen in stone. The builder's astronomical sophistication defies expectations. Measurements reveal the temple's layout corresponds to the draconic cycle of the moon, an 18.6-year pattern governing eclipses. Even more remarkably, Angkor Wat's central tower stands at exactly the same latitude as the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro in the Indus Valley, halfway around the world. This isn't coincidence, it's geodesy, the science of measuring Earth's shape and orientation, suggesting a shared system of sacred geography spanning continents. The temple's corridors function as precise sightlines, framing specific stars during solstices and equinoxes. During the winter solstice, the Pleiades cluster appears directly above the western entrance, while Sirius aligns with the Eastern Library, a star revered across cultures as a gateway to the divine. What sets Angkor Wat apart is its duality. By day, it's a model of the Hindu cosmos. By night, it transforms into a celestial observatory. The temple's reflection pools weren't just decorative, they acted as mirrors to the sky, allowing priests to study stars while standing on solid ground. Recent LiDAR scans revealed hidden chambers beneath the central tower, their walls inscribed with numerical sequences matching planetary cycles. This wasn't just spirituality, It was sacred mathematics, a fusion of myth and precision engineering. The temple's outer walls even depict the churning of the ocean of milk, a Hindu creation myth that some researchers now interpret as an allegory for precession, the 26,000-year wobble of Earth's axis that gradually shifts stellar positions. The most tantalizing mystery isn't how they built it, but why they oriented it westward unlike all other Hindu temples facing east. One theory suggests it was designed as a funerary monument for King Suryavarman II, aligning with the setting sun's symbolic journey to the afterlife. Another points to the temple's alignment with the constellation Draco during its construction era, mirroring the celestial north of that epoch. Whatever the reason, the effect is undeniable. When the equinox sun strikes the central tower, shadows create an illusion of the entire temple ascending skyward, a stone ladder to the heavens. Today, as astronomers decode Angkor Wat's hidden alignments and archaeologists uncover more star maps in its carvings, we're left with a profound question. Was this merely a place of worship, or a functioning stargate where priests communed with celestial beings? The temple's builders left no written manuals, only stone whispers, a silent testament to a civilization that didn't just gaze at the stars but sought to walk among them. As dawn light floods the inner sanctum each equinox, Angkor Wat reminds us that some truths aren't written in books, but etched in the very alignment of earth and sky. Rising from the savannah like a stone crown, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe whisper secrets of a civilization that mastered both earth and sky. The massive granite walls, built without mortar yet standing for centuries, curve in perfect harmony with the landscape, but their true genius lies in their celestial choreography. The great enclosure's eastern gate frames the rising sun during the equinoxes, flooding the inner courtyard with golden light, while the mysterious conical tower casts shadows that mark the solstices with uncanny precision. This wasn't just architecture, it was a stone almanac, its very geometry encoding the rhythms of the seasons. For a civilization that left no written records, the stones speak volumes. The tower's unique design, 33 feet tall with a hollow interior, aligns with the moon's 18.6-year cycle, a phenomenon only observable through generations of meticulous sky watching. Nearby, the hill complex's boulders are carved with grooves that channel rainwater into star-shaped patterns, possibly mirroring constellations sacred to the Shona people. Archaeologists have found pottery shards adorned with crescent moons and solar disks, suggesting celestial symbols permeated daily life. But the most compelling evidence lies in the ruins' alignment with the heliacal rising of Sirius, the brightest star in Africa's night sky, which coincided with the onset of rains critical for agriculture. How did the builders achieve such accuracy without telescopes or written mathematics? The answer may lie in their environment. The Shona's ancestors were cattle herders who relied on stellar navigation to guide seasonal migrations. Over centuries, they likely noticed how certain stars heralded rains or drought, weaving this knowledge into their architecture. The conical tower's shadow, for instance, stretches exactly to the entrance of a granary during the harvest moon, a practical calendar etched in stone. Other scholars point to trade networks stretching to the Swahili coast, where Arab and African astronomers exchanged ideas. A bronze astrolabe fragment found near the ruins hints at this cross-cultural exchange, though whether it was used for navigation or ritual remains debated. What sets Great Zimbabwe apart is its fusion of utility and spirituality. Unlike European cathedrals or Mesoamerican pyramids, where celestial alignments often served religious spectacle, here astronomy was deeply pragmatic. The tower's alignment with the Pleiades rising may have signaled the ideal time to burn fields for fertilizing soil, while the winter solstice shadow marked the start of hunting season. Yet the spiritual dimension is undeniable. Oral traditions speak of Mweri, a sky god who communicated through thunder and celestial signs, while modern Shona elders describe the ruins as a place where ancestors still speak through the stones. The absence of written records forces us to listen differently, to read the stars in the masonry, the seasons in the shadows. The greatest mystery isn't how they built it, but why they left. By the 15th century, Great Zimbabwe was abandoned, its celestial knowledge preserved only in oral traditions and these silent stones. Today, as laser scans reveal hidden chambers beneath the tower and astronomers decode its alignments, we're left with a humbling truth: this wasn't just a city. It was a conversation with the cosmos, written in granite and light, a testament to a civilization that didn't just track the heavens, but woven them into the very fabric of daily life. The ruins stand as a reminder that sometimes the most profound stories aren't written in ink, but in the alignment of a tower and the turning of the stars. Standing sentinel on the windswept slopes of Easter Island, the Moai statues gaze inland with hollow eyes, their massive stone faces turned away from the sea that brought their creators to these shores centuries ago. But look closer at the platforms supporting these colossi, and you'll discover a celestial secret. Many are aligned with breathtaking precision to the solstice sunrises and sunsets, their basalt foundations acting as stone compasses to the heavens. The most striking example is Ahu Akivi, where 7 Moai face the setting sun during the spring equinox, while their backs align perfectly with the rising sun on the autumn equinox. This isn't just artistry, it's astronomy carved into the landscape by a people who navigated the vast Pacific using only the stars. What makes these alignments so extraordinary is the isolation of Rapa Nui, the island's indigenous name. Located over 2,000 miles from the nearest inhabited land, the Polynesians who settled here developed their celestial knowledge entirely independently. Yet their stone observatories mirror techniques found at Stonehenge and Machu Picchu, like Ahu Huri a Yorenga, where a strategically placed moai casts a shadow that bisects the platform's central stone during the winter solstice. The Rapa Nui didn't just track time, they may have encoded it into the statues themselves. Some researchers note that the moai's proportions, elongated torsos, and angular chins resemble the stylized star people depicted in Polynesian oral traditions, suggesting the statues weren't merely ancestral portraits but conduits between earth and sky. The mystery deepens when you consider how they achieved such precision without metal tools or written records. The island's ancient talking boards, wooden tablets inscribed with rongo-rongo glyphs, include symbols that may represent celestial events. One recurring glyph shows a crescent moon cradling a dot, a possible record of a solar eclipse visible from the island in 1680. Even more intriguing, the quarry where the moai were carved, Rono Roroku, contains unfinished statues tilted at angles matching specific stars' risings, as if the mountain itself were a celestial blueprint. Why would a culture with limited resources dedicate generations to such exacting astronomical architecture? For the Rapa Nui, the answer may lie in their worldview. Polynesian navigators saw the ocean not as empty space but as a sea of stars, with islands rising like constellations from the deep. By anchoring their statues to celestial events, they may have been creating a mirror of the heavens on Earth, a way to tether their isolated home to the cosmic order. The Moai's platforms, or Ahu, often incorporate coral slabs symbolizing the Milky Way, while the red stone topknots placed on some statues could represent the vital energy of celestial bodies. The most haunting clue comes from the island's oral traditions. Elders speak of the Araki, priest kings who could walk the sky paths, and legends tell of a time when the Moai moved themselves to their platforms with the help of celestial mana or spiritual power. Modern researchers have found magnetic anomalies at certain Ahu sites, suggesting the basalt stones contain high concentrations of iron, perhaps intentionally selected for their energetic properties. Were the Rapa Nui creating more than monuments? Could these platforms have functioned as spiritual antennas, channeling cosmic forces into the island's volcanic soil? As drones map newly discovered alignments and astronomers decode petroglyphs depicting supernova, the Moai's silent testimony grows louder. They stand not just as relics of a lost culture, but as proof of a universal human longing to reach beyond the horizon, to touch the stars, and to etch our place in the cosmos in something more enduring than flesh. In their shadow, we're left to wonder, did the Rapa Nui's ancestors truly become star beings, as their legends claim? Or were these statues always meant to be something far more profound, not just watchers of the land, but keepers of the sky? Could the megalithic stargates scattered across our planet be fragments of a civilization so advanced, so globally connected, that history has forgotten its name? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Researchers like Graham Hancock have long argued that around 12,000 years ago, a cataclysmic event, possibly a comet impact or rapid climate shift, wiped out a sophisticated society that had mastered astronomy, engineering, and celestial navigation. The evidence lies in the eerie consistency of these ancient sites. From the sun daggers of Choco Canyon to the solstice alignments of Stonehenge, these monuments don't just share similar techniques, they speak the same cosmic language, despite being built by cultures separated by oceans and millennia. Take the case of Gobekli Tepe, buried for 12,000 years in Turkey. Its T-shaped pillars, carved with precise animal constellations, align with stars as they appeared in that distant epoch. But here's what defies conventional timelines. This site predates agriculture, pottery, even permanent settlements. How could hunter-gatherers, supposedly preoccupied with survival, design such an advanced observatory? The answer might lie in the possibility that they weren't starting from scratch, they were rebuilding. Fragments of a lost knowledge system, passed down through oral traditions or encoded in myth, could explain why cultures with no apparent contact arrived at identical astronomical solutions. The Hopi of North America speak of a fourth world destroyed by fire from the sky, while Plato's Atlantis dialogues describe a maritime empire swallowed by the sea. These aren't just stories, they might be cultural memories of a shared catastrophe. The uniformity of celestial alignments is perhaps the most compelling clue. The Pleiades star cluster appears in the sacred geometry of sites as diverse as Japan's Jomon stone circles, Egypt's Temple of Hathor, and Mexico's Teotihuacan. The winter solstice sunrise alignment recurs at Newgrange, Machu Picchu, and the hypogeum of Malta structures built thousands of years apart by cultures with no known interaction. This isn't coincidence, it's continuity. Mainstream archaeology attributes these parallels to independent discovery, but the odds of so many civilizations independently developing identical complex alignments stretch credibility. What if these stargates were more than ceremonial sites? The precision of their engineering suggests they might have functioned as repositories of critical knowledge. The Maya's long count calendar, for instance, tracks cosmic cycles spanning millions of years far beyond any practical agricultural need. Could it be a legacy from earlier astronomers who witnessed celestial events we've yet to experience? The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek computer that predicted eclipses and planetary movements, proves ancient technology was more advanced than we assumed. If one such device survived, how many others were lost? The most tantalizing theory suggests these monuments were designed as a failsafe, a way to preserve essential knowledge across millennia. The Great Pyramid's dimensions encode the Earth's circumference and the speed of light. while Angkor Wat's layout mirrors the Draco constellation as it appeared in 10,500 BC. These aren't random choices, they're deliberate, perhaps meant to outlast language and cultural collapse. The Dogon people of Moai, who knew of Sirius B's existence centuries before telescopes, claim their astronomical knowledge came from amphibious beings who survived a global flood. Whether myth or memory, their story echoes a recurring theme, that advanced celestial wisdom predates recorded history. This perspective doesn't diminish ancient cultures, it elevates them. Rather than primitive societies stumbling upon astronomical alignments, we might be seeing the fingerprints of intentional architects. The implications are profound. If a global civilization once thrived, its collapse could hold urgent lessons for our own world. As we decode these stone messages from the past, we're not just uncovering history, we might be recovering a warning, etched in alignments and angles, waiting for us to look up and understand. The idea that extraterrestrial beings might have guided the construction of these megalithic stargates isn't just the stuff of science fiction. It's a theory that sparked heated debate among archaeologists, historians, and astronomers for decades. Erich von Däniken, one of the most vocal proponents of the ancient astronaut hypothesis, points to the sheer impossibility of structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza or Puma Punku's precision, cut stones being crafted with primitive tools. How, he asks, could cultures separated by thousands of years and miles achieve such flawless celestial alignments without advanced knowledge? The argument hinges on the idea that these sites aren't just impressive, they're inexplicable by conventional historical timelines. Take Baalbek's trilithon stones, each weighing nearly 800 tons. Even with modern cranes, moving blocks of that size would be a monumental challenge. Yet they're fitted together with seams so tight you can't slip a sheet of paper between them. Or consider the Dogon people of Moai, who knew about Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye centuries before telescopes confirmed its existence. Their oral traditions speak of amphibious beings called the Nommo, who descended from the sky with celestial knowledge. These aren't isolated anomalies. From the Nazca lines, which seem designed for aerial viewing, to the sudden appearance of advanced astronomy in Sumerian texts, the ancient astronaut theory weaves these threads into a provocative narrative that humanity's leap into civilization might have had outside help. Critics, of course, dismiss this as speculative at best. They argue that ancient cultures were far more capable than we give them credit for, patient observers who refined their understanding over generations. The Maya's long count calendar, for instance, didn't require alien intervention. It was the product of meticulous record-keeping by priest astronomers. Similarly, the Egyptians' mastery of geometry and astronomy could have been honed through trial and error, passed down through guilds of builders, but even skeptics admit there are gaps in the record. How did the builders of Gobekli Tepe, a site dating back 12,000 years, carve and align massive pillars with constellations at a time when humans were supposedly nomadic hunter-gatherers? What makes this debate so compelling is that it forces us to confront the limits of our understanding. If the ancient astronaut hypothesis is wrong, it still highlights the astonishing ingenuity of early civilizations. If it's even partially right, it rewrites the story of human progress. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, not in aliens handing down blueprints, but in the possibility of a lost epoch of human innovation, one erased by time or catastrophe. The Stargates, then, wouldn't be gifts from extraterrestrials but monuments to a forgotten chapter of our own history, a time when humanity's connection to the cosmos was far more intimate than we've ever imagined. At its core, this isn't just about who built these sites, it's about how we define human potential. The ancient astronaut hypothesis, for all its controversy, serves as a mirror challenging us to ask whether we've underestimated our ancestors or overestimated our uniqueness in the universe. As new discoveries chip away at the boundaries of what we thought possible, one thing becomes clear: the stones have more to tell us, and their story might be stranger than we've dared to believe. The shaman stood at the center of the stone circle as the solstice sun pierced through the aligned monoliths, its light creeping toward his feet like a golden serpent. In that fleeting moment, he wasn't just an observer of the heavens, he became a traveler, stepping through a portal woven from stone and sunlight. Across ancient cultures, from the Druids of Europe to the medicine men of the Americas, stargates weren't merely astronomical tools. They were thresholds for the soul, where shamans bridged the gap between worlds, using celestial alignments to navigate realms beyond ordinary perception. Consider the Siberian Evenk people, whose shamans describe the Milky Way as the river of time, a pathway for spirits to ascend during solstice rituals. Their wooden drums, etched with star maps, served as both musical instruments and cosmic compasses, tools to guide their consciousness along the same celestial routes marked by megalithic monuments. Half a world away, the Mayas' vision serpents emerged during bloodletting ceremonies at El Caracol, their twisted bodies mirroring the sinuous path of Venus across the sky. These weren't just symbolic gestures, they were precise techniques for altering perception, aligning human consciousness with cosmic cycles. The physics of these experiences might be more than metaphorical. Modern studies show that geomagnetic anomalies like those found at Delphi or Stonehenge can induce altered states by disrupting the brain's temporal lobe. Combine this with the rhythmic drumming, fasting, and psychoactive plants common in shamanic practice, and you have a recipe for transcendent experience, one that ancient cultures may have intentionally engineered into their stargates. The Hopi Kivas, subterranean chambers aligned with winter solstice sunrise, were designed to amplify sound vibrations at specific frequencies, creating conditions ripe for visionary states. What's striking is how these traditions converge. The Norse Ceres sat atop a carved platform aligned with Polaris to prophesize, while Andean Pocos still conduct despacho ceremonies at Intihuatana stones during equinoxes. Despite oceans and millennia separating these practices, the core idea remains: certain celestial moments thin the veil between worlds, and stone monuments act as anchors for crossing over. The shaman wasn't just a priest or healer, they were an astronomer of consciousness, decoding the sky's secrets not with telescopes, but with trance. This union of science and spirituality challenges modern divides. The same solstice alignment that allowed Neolithic farmers to predict planting seasons also served as a gateway for shamans to retrieve healing knowledge or commune with ancestors. At Newgrange, the 17 minutes of solstice light flooding the chamber may have been a timer for ritual ecstasy, the duration carefully calibrated to match the brain's peak entranced state. The builders didn't just want to mark time, they sought to transcend it. Perhaps the greatest lesson lies in the duality of these sites. A stargate wasn't either an observatory or a temple, it was both. The precision required to track Venus's cycles demanded rigorous empiricism, while the ecstatic voyages it facilitated required surrendering to the unknown. In our age of binary thinking, science versus spirituality, fact versus myth, these monuments whisper a forgotten truth: that the stars were never just points of light, but living gateways, and humanity's oldest monuments were built not just to watch the heavens, but to walk among them. Archaeoastronomy doesn't just study ancient monuments, it deciphers a lost language of light and shadow, where every stone is a word and every alignment a sentence in humanity's oldest conversation with the cosmos. Take the 3,000-year-old Nebra sky disk discovered in Germany. At first glance, it's just a bronze circle adorned with gold stars. But look closer, and you'll find a sophisticated celestial map, the Pleiades cluster positioned between a crescent moon and a full sun, with golden arcs marking the solstices. This wasn't decoration, it was a portable observatory, a farmer's almanac cast in metal. The disk's creators didn't just watch the sky, they quantified it, translating celestial patterns into tangible tools for survival. This fusion of art and science appears globally. In Choco Canyon, the ancestral Pueblones carved spiral petroglyphs that transform into solar calendars when struck by daggers of light. On Scotland's Isle of Lewis, the Callanish stones form a lunar observatory that tracks the moon's 18.6-year cycle, their jagged silhouettes mirroring the landscape like a stone reflection of the heavens. These sites weren't built in isolation, they're part of a planetary tapestry of celestial observation. The same mathematical principles that guided the construction of Egypt's pyramids appear in the step temples of Cambodia, suggesting a universal grammar of sacred geometry rooted in the stars. What makes archaeoastronomy revolutionary is how it overturns stereotypes of ancient peoples. The Maya, for instance, didn't merely chart Venus, they calculated its synodic period down to minutes over 5 centuries, a feat requiring generations of precise record-keeping. Their Dresden Codex contains eclipse tables so accurate they rival modern computations. Similarly, the builders of Ireland's Newgrange engineered a roof box that filters solstice sunlight with the precision of a laser, despite having no written language or metal tools. These weren't primitive cultures stumbling upon celestial patterns. They were rigorous scientists, their methods as methodical as any modern lab experiment. The real magic lies in the details. At Machu Picchu, the Intihuatana stone's shadow doesn't just mark the solstice, it disappears at noon, a phenomenon that only works at that specific latitude. The Nabta Playa stone circle in Egypt, predating Stonehenge by a millennium, aligns with Sirius's rising during the summer solstice, an event tied to the Nile's flooding. These nuances reveal a deeper truth. Ancient astronomers didn't just observe the sky, they calibrated their lives to its rhythms, turning abstract celestial events into anchors for agriculture, navigation, and spirituality. Critics once dismissed these alignments as coincidental, but modern technology has silenced doubt. Laser scans of Guatemala's El Mirador pyramids reveal hidden star maps carved into their facades, while 3D modeling proves that England's Stonehenge originally formed a perfect rectangle aligned with lunar standstills. Archaeoastronomy bridges the gap between myth and measurement, showing that the stories passed down through oral traditions, like the Aboriginal Dreamtime tales of the emu in the sky, often encode precise astronomical knowledge. The emu's shape, formed by dark patches in the Milky Way, signals the start of egg-laying season when it appears in the evening sky. This field's greatest gift is its humility. It forces us to reckon with the possibility that ancient cultures possessed insights we're only rediscovering today. The Dogon people's knowledge of Sirius B, or the Hindu Vedas' description of light traveling faster than sound, challenge linear narratives of scientific progress. Perhaps the stargates we've explored weren't just monuments, but textbooks written in a language of stone and shadow, waiting for us to learn how to read them again. As archaeoastronomers peer deeper into the past, they're not just uncovering ancient science, they're reminding us that the sky was humanity's first classroom, and the stars our oldest teachers. Carved into the sandstone cliffs of Choco Canyon, a spiral petroglyph stands frozen in time until the summer solstice sun pierces a nearby rock crevice, casting a dagger of light that splits the spiral in two. But this isn't just a solar calendar. Hidden among its coils are tiny peck dots that mirror the sudden appearance of a guest star in the sky over 1,000 years ago. Modern astronomers recognize this as the Crab Nebula's violent birth in 1054 CE, a supernova so bright it outshone Venus for weeks and was visible even in daylight. Yet halfway across the world, Chinese astronomers weren't the only ones recording the event. The same celestial spectacle appears in ancestral Puebloan rock art, Mayan codices, and even a Japanese scroll depicting the heavenly sign above Emperor Go-Ryuzai's palace. This wasn't isolated curiosity, it was a global act of celestial storytelling, with megaliths serving as the parchment. The sheer consistency of these records is staggering. At Scotland's Callanish Stones, a serpentine carving winds around a central pillar, its curves matching the path of Halley's Comet during its 1266 CE appearance. Meanwhile, the Lascaux Cave's 17,000-year-old paintings, long thought to depict hunting scenes, include a bull's eye with 6 dots above its shoulder, an arrangement matching the Pleiades' position during the late Ice Age. These aren't random doodles, they're celestial almanacs, preserving moments when the cosmos intervened in human history. The Hopi Kachina dances still reenact the star that shook the world, a possible reference to the same supernova depicted at Choco, suggesting oral traditions can outlast even stone. Why go to such lengths to immortalize these events? The answer may lie in catastrophe. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis proposes that a fragmented comet struck Earth around 10,900 BCE, triggering firestorms and climate collapse. Gobekli Tepe's vulture stone, with its carved scorpion and bird clutching a disc, may document this very event, the disc representing the comet, the animals symbolizing constellations where the debris appeared. Similarly, Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime stories describe a fire devil falling from the sky, coinciding with meteorite impacts recorded in ice cores. For pre-literate societies, encoding these warnings in stone wasn't just science, it was survival. The sophistication of these records defies stereotypes. The Nebra Sky Disk, a 3,600-year-old bronze artifact from Germany, doesn't just show the sun and moon. It includes a cluster of 7 stars representing the Pleiades, positioned to signal when lunar months needed intercalation to keep agricultural cycles in sync. This level of astronomical precision suggests these weren't mere memorials but functional tools, blending myth and mathematics. The Maya took this further, their Dresden Codex containing eclipse tables accurate to within minutes over 5 centuries, proving celestial observation wasn't just ritual, it was rigorous data collection. What's haunting is how these messages endure. When the Taurid meteor stream lights up the sky each November, it's the same fiery serpents the builders of Gobekli Tepe may have witnessed 12,000 years ago. The comet Enker, which orbits through this stream every 3.3 years, appears in Babylonian clay tablets as the ghost of the slain god. Its periodic returns marked by Mesopotamian ziggurats align to its apparitions. These threads of continuity suggest ancient stargates weren't just observing the heavens, they were creating a dialogue across millennia, etching cosmic near misses and wonders into stone so future generations might recognize the patterns. The final layer of mystery lies in the universality of these symbols. From the Norse myth of Ragnarök, a twilight of the gods heralded by stars falling like fire, to the Maori legend of Tohaki climbing a celestial vine to retrieve star knowledge after a sky collapse, these aren't isolated stories but fragments of a planetary memory. The stones amplify this, their alignments and carvings serving as both archive and alarm. As modern astronomers scan for near-Earth objects, we're relearning what the builders of these megaliths knew instinctively, that the sky isn't just a spectacle, but a participant in human destiny, and sometimes its messages are urgent enough to carve in stone. The slow wobble of Earth's axis doesn't just alter our night sky, it rewrites it, shifting the backdrop of stars so gradually that entire civilizations rise and fall before the change becomes obvious. Yet scattered across the globe, certain megalithic stargates seem to account for this 26,000-year cycle, their alignments locked not to the stars of their own era, but to celestial positions thousands of years before or after. Take Egypt's Temple of Hathor at Dendera, where the zodiac ceiling doesn't just depict the sky as the Egyptians knew it, but includes constellations like Aquarius in positions they wouldn't occupy for millennia. This isn't a mistake, it's a message, a deliberate encoding of precessional knowledge into stone. How could cultures without telescopes grasp a cycle spanning hundreds of generations? The answer may lie in the patient accumulation of oral tradition. The Maya's long count calendar, for instance, doesn't just track days or years, it measures vast epochs, including the infamous end date of 2012 that corresponded to the Sun's alignment with the Milky Way's dark rift, a precessional marker. Similarly, Hindu texts describe the Yuga cycle, a 432,000-year cosmic rhythm that mirrors precessional mathematics. These weren't wild guesses. They were the fruits of meticulous observation, passed down through initiatory lineages where priest astronomers spent lifetimes refining celestial models. The most striking evidence comes from sites that shouldn't align but do. At Wyoming's Bighorn Medicine Wheel, a simple ring of stones marks the summer solstice sunrise, but its spokes also frame the heliacal rising of Sirius as it appeared 3,000 years ago. In Cambodia, Angkor Wat's central tower aligns with the Draco constellation's position in 10,500 BCE, a date echoed in the Great Pyramid's orientation to Orion's belt during the same epoch. These out-of-time alignments suggest a frightening possibility that ancient astronomers didn't just observe precession, they anticipated it, building monuments that would activate millennia later, like celestial time capsules. The mechanics of this knowledge transfer remain hotly debated. Some researchers propose that ancient cultures used simple tools, like notched bones or cord-wrapped sticks, to record star positions over centuries. The Ishango bone, a 20,000-year-old tally stick from Africa, shows mathematical markings that may have tracked lunar cycles. Others point to myth as the vehicle. The Greek story of Phaethon's disastrous chariot ride, which altered Earth's axis, could be a garbled memory of precessional awareness. Even the Bible's apocalyptic wheels within wheels vision from Ezekiel reads like a poetic description of axial wobble when stripped of theological framing. What's undeniable is the scale of their ambition. While modern science only confirmed precession in the 17th century, the builders of Nabta-Playa's stone circles in Egypt appear to have marked it 7,000 years earlier. Their calendar stone aligns not just to solstice sunrises, but to the slow drift of the entire Milky Way, a feat requiring observations spanning generations. This wasn't just astronomy, it was a pact with time itself, a promise that knowledge would outlive its creators. The stones then become more than monuments, they are frozen conversations between epochs, whispering across millennia to remind us that the sky's movements are both clock and compass, and our ancestors may have understood their rhythm far better than we've dared to imagine. The same spiral that unfurls in a seashell's curve and whirls through distant galaxies also wins its way across ancient stargates, etched into Newgrange's entrance stones, carved onto the pillars of Gobekli Tepe, and traced in the Nazca Desert's sprawling geoglyphs. This isn't coincidence, it's a silent language, sacred geometry. The circles, spirals, and precise ratios recurring in these sites wasn't mere decoration. It was a bridge between the seen and unseen, a way to etch cosmic order into stone. When the builders of Stonehenge arranged their blue stones in concentric rings, or when the Maya designed El Caracol's observatory with Fibonacci-like proportions, they weren't just constructing monuments. They were weaving the fabric of the universe itself into their architecture. Consider the golden ratio, a mathematical constant found in everything from sunflower seed patterns to hurricane formations. This same ratio appears in the Great Pyramid's dimensions, Angkor Wat's temple layouts, and even the spacing of Karnak's standing stones. The precision is jarring. The Parthenon's facade aligns with this ratio to within millimeters, while Teotihuacan's pyramids mirror its proportions in their step designs. Why would cultures separated by continents and centuries fixate on this specific number? Some researchers argue these shapes emit harmonic frequencies, resonant vibrations that ancient engineers may have sought to amplify. Experiments with the Great Pyramid's chambers reveal they focus electromagnetic energy at specific wavelengths, almost as if the structure were tuned like a musical instrument. Could sacred geometry have been a form of technology, a way to harness or channel energies we're only beginning to measure? The circle, perhaps the most universal symbol, takes on profound meaning at these sites. From the stone rings of Kalanish to the circular enclosures of Gobekli Tepe, the shape recurs as if echoing the cyclical nature of time itself. Solar and lunar cycles are circles, seasons wheel in endless loops. Even the precession of the equinoxes traces a 26,000-year arc across the sky. By building in circles, our ancestors may have been encoding this cosmic rhythm into the land. The spiral deepens the metaphor. At Newgrange, the triple spiral carving in the solstice chamber seems to pulse when struck by sunlight, its coils mirroring the Milky Way structure or the double helix of DNA. These patterns weren't arbitrary, they were mnemonics, visual reminders of interconnectedness. But sacred geometry's power wasn't just symbolic. Recent studies suggest certain shapes can alter human consciousness. The labyrinthine designs found at Malta's Hypogeum or Peru's Chavin de Huanta, when walked or meditated upon, induced trance-like states. The flickering torchlight bouncing off these precisely angled walls would have created moving shadows, amplifying the effect. Even the acoustics of these spaces play a role. Scotland's Michaud Passage tomb resonates at a frequency that stimulates theta brainwaves, associated with deep meditation and vivid imagery. This merging of form and function hints at a lost science, one where geometry wasn't just observed but experienced, a tool for shifting perception. The most tantalizing theory ties these designs to celestial harmonics. The orbits of planets create ratios akin to musical intervals. Venus and Earth, for instance, dance in an 8:13 resonance, a Fibonacci pair. Some researchers propose that stargates like Stonehenge or the Pyramid of the Sun were tuned to these cosmic frequencies, their dimensions acting as stone tuning forks. The Maya's obsession with Venus's cycles, or the ancient Egyptians' alignment of temples to Sirius's rising, might have been attempts to sync earthly structures with celestial rhythms. In this light, sacred geometry becomes more than art or math. It's a vibrational language, a way to speak to the universe in its own terms. What's striking is how these ideas converge across cultures. The Buddhist mandala, the Celtic triskelion, the Hindu yantras, all use geometry to map spiritual concepts onto physical space. The builders of stargates may have shared this same holistic vision, where science, art, and spirituality weren't separate disciplines but facets of a single truth. The next time you gaze at a spiral petroglyph or stand inside a stone circle, remember, you're not just looking at a design, you're witnessing humanity's oldest attempt to hold a conversation with the cosmos, one where the shapes we carved into rock were the first words whispered across the void. Beneath the tangled vines of the Guatemalan jungle, Lasers pulse from an airborne scanner, painting the forest floor with invisible light. This isn't science fiction, it's LiDAR technology, peeling back layers of vegetation to reveal the ghostly outlines of pyramids and causeways hidden for centuries. What these scans uncover is rewriting history. Entire networks of Maya cities aligned not just to solstices, but to Venus's extreme positions on the horizon. The same technology has exposed hidden chambers beneath Stonehenge, their layout mirroring the moon's 18.6-year cycle with a precision we'd missed for millennia. These aren't accidental patterns, they're proof of intentional design, etched into landscapes we thought we'd already decoded. Satellite imagery adds another layer to the puzzle. From space, the Nazca lines transform from disjointed sketches into a cohesive celestial map. Infrared scans show faded geoglyphs aligning with the Milky Way's dark rift, a feature the Maya associated with the cosmic underworld. Even more startling, Google Earth overlays reveal that Peru's Sacsayhuaman fortress, with its zigzagging walls, mirrors the constellation Cygnus as it appeared during the site's construction. These discoveries aren't just correcting our assumptions, they're exposing a global language of alignment, one that modern tech is finally allowing us to read. Ground-penetrating radar has unearthed equally profound secrets. At Turkey's Gobekli Tepe, scans detected a hidden ring of pillars buried deeper than the ones we've excavated, their carvings matching the torrid meteor stream's path during the Younger Dryas period. In Egypt, thermal imaging of the Great Pyramid's base revealed anomalous heat signatures, hinting at undiscovered chambers possibly linked to stellar alignments we've yet to decipher. Each scan, each pixelated image, chips away at the notion that ancient cultures were primitive. Instead, they emerge as meticulous astronomers who turned entire landscapes into observatories. The real revolution lies in 3D modeling. By inputting celestial data from millennia ago into software like Stellarium, researchers can rewind the night sky to the exact moment a stargate was built. This technique proved that Malta's Haga Kim Temple's elliptical chambers frame the winter solstice sunrise, but only as it appeared in 3600 BC when the temple was actively used. Similarly, digital reconstructions of the now-fallen Grand Menhir Brissay in France show its shadow would have pointed to a distant burial mound during the equinoxes, creating a symbolic pathway between earth and sky. These virtual tools don't just confirm alignments, they resurrect the living context in which these monuments functioned. Yet for all our technological prowess, some mysteries resist even the most advanced probes. The oracle chamber at Malta's Hypogeum, carved from solid limestone, emits a haunting resonance at 110 Hz, a frequency known to alter brain activity and induce trance states. No scan can fully explain how Bronze Age builders engineered this acoustic phenomenon, or why it aligns with the Pleiades rising during the temple's use. Similarly, LiDAR can map the precise angles of Cambodia's Angkor Wat, but it can't decode why its dimensions match the Draco constellation's position in 10,500 BC, a date predating the temple by millennia. What's emerging is a humbling truth. Our ancestors didn't just build monuments, they encoded them with layers of meaning, from agricultural calendars to spiritual gateways. As drones map Peru's newly discovered lines at Palpa and AI analyzes star correlations across global sites, we're not just discovering alignments, we're recovering a lost worldview. The stones were never silent, we just lacked the tools to hear them. Now, as pixels and algorithms illuminate hidden patterns, the ancient stargates begin to whisper their deepest secrets, reminding us that the past isn't buried, it's waiting, etched in stone and shadow, for the right light to reveal it. Not every expert sees megalithic stargates as celestial calculators or spiritual portals. For some archaeologists, the alignments are statistical inevitabilities. With thousands of ancient sites dotting the globe, a handful are bound to point toward significant stars or solstices purely by chance. They argue we're projecting modern fascination onto the past, turning random patterns into meaningful designs. At the heart of this debate lies a fundamental question: when does a stone's position become intentional astronomy rather than happy accident? Consider the case of Scotland's canonized standing stones. While their lunar alignments seem precise, critics point out that Neolithic builders lacked writing or advanced tools to track such complex cycles. Could they have simply favored certain sightlines for symbolic rather than scientific reasons? The statistical approach pioneered by researchers like Clive Ruggles uses probability models to separate genuine alignments from random matches. His work at Karnak showed that while some rows clearly target solstices, others may reflect local topography or ceremonial pathways. This doesn't diminish the site's significance but grounds their interpretation in measurable evidence. Yet the counterargument holds weight too. When multiple cultures separated by oceans and centuries build monuments with identical alignments, like the Pleiades rising at Gobekli Tepe, Japan's Jomon circles, and Egypt's Temple of Hathor, coincidence strains credibility. The Maya's Venus tables, accurate to minutes over centuries, prove at least some cultures achieved staggering precision. The divide often boils down to methodology. Traditional archaeology prioritizes physical evidence like tools or inscriptions, while archaeoastronomy reads meaning into spatial relationships invisible to excavators' trowels. The tension between these approaches fuels the field's vitality. When Gerald Hawkins declared Stonehenge a Neolithic computer in the 1960s, his celestial claims were initially dismissed as fringe. Yet later excavations confirmed the Aubrey hole's role in eclipse prediction, blending speculation with hard science. Similarly, the Orion correlation theory, linking Giza's pyramids to the belt stars, was once ridiculed until surveys revealed the Nile's ancient course mirrored the Milky Way's path in that epoch. These breakthroughs emerged not from rigid skepticism or uncritical acceptance, but from dialogue between disciplines. What's often lost in these debates is the builder's own worldview. Modern science separates astronomy from religion, but for ancient cultures, tracking Venus might have been as much about placating gods as planting crops. The Intihutana stone at Machu Picchu simultaneously marks solstices and channels sacred energy, a duality our categories struggle to contain. Perhaps the truth lies in recognizing that precision and spirituality weren't opposites but partners, woven together in ways that defy either slash or interpretations. The healthiest approach may be informed imagination, grounding theories in evidence while leaving room for mystery. As laser scans uncover hidden chambers and AI analyzes alignment databases, we're gaining tools to test even the boldest hypotheses. Whether these sites were observatories, temples, or something beyond our current frameworks, their enduring power lies in the questions they provoke. After all, the greatest megaliths don't just point to stars. They point to the limits of our understanding, inviting us to keep looking up. The stones have stood for millennia, but the modern world moves too fast for them. Wind and rain slowly gnaw at the carvings of Gobekli Tepe, while the footsteps of millions of visitors erode the once pristine floors of Stonehenge. Development creeps ever closer to Choco Canyon's sacred alignments, and rising sea levels threaten coastal sites like Malta's Haga Kim. These aren't just ancient ruins, they're humanity's first astronomy textbooks, their pages written in alignments and angles. Losing them wouldn't just erase history, it would silence an ongoing conversation with the cosmos that began when humans first looked up in wonder. Organizations like UNESCO have placed many of these sites on the World Heritage List, offering some protection. At Newgrange, visitor numbers are strictly controlled, and the Solstice chamber is sealed with protective glass. In Peru, drones monitor the Nazca lines for trespassers, while Cambodia employs laser scanning to create digital backups of Angkor Wat's fragile bas-reliefs. But these efforts are fragmented. The same comet depicted on Gobekli Tepe's pillars might also be recorded in Aboriginal Australian rock art or Native American oral traditions, yet no unified system connects these scattered fragments of celestial memory. The challenge goes beyond physical preservation. Traditional knowledge holders from Polynesian navigators to Andean Pocos possess oral traditions that decode these sites' secrets, but their voices are often excluded from conservation planning. When the last Hopi elder who can interpret their ancestral star charts passes, or when the final Maori tohunga forgets the navigational chants tied to specific stone markers, we don't just lose stories, we lose the cipher for understanding entire monument systems. Initiatives like the Living Heritage Program aim to record these oral traditions, but technology alone can't replace the living connection between people, stones, and stars. Tourism presents a paradox. The revenue from visitors funds conservation, but the sheer volume of feet and hands accelerates decay. Machu Picchu's Intihuatana stone, once precisely aligned with solstices, was damaged when a filming crew dropped a heavy camera on it in 2000. Some sites have found creative solutions. Ireland's Brú na Bóinne complex built a full-scale replica of Newgrange's chamber so visitors can experience the solstice light without entering the fragile original. Others, like Egypt's Lascaux cave, have closed entirely, offering only virtual reality experiences instead. Perhaps the most urgent threat is climate change. Rising temperatures expand and contract stone surfaces, destabilizing delicate alignments. Increased rainfall erodes carvings at Scotland's Callanish stones, while drought conditions expose previously buried sections of Turkey's Gobekli Tepe to destructive winds. The very astronomical phenomena these monuments were built to track solstices, equinoxes, lunar standstills are being altered by atmospheric changes our ancestors could never have anticipated. Protecting these stargates requires rethinking what preservation means. It's not just about propping up stones, but maintaining their celestial relationships. When a new building blocks Stonehenge's view of the winter solstice sunrise, or light pollution obscures the Pleiades from the vantage point of Choco Canyon, we're not just damaging artifacts, we're breaking the connection between Earth and sky that gave them meaning. Some communities are fighting back. Dark sky reserves now encircle megalithic sites like England's Overbury, ensuring the stars they track remain visible. The greatest hope may lie in combining ancient wisdom with cutting-edge technology. Laser scans create millimeter-perfect digital twins of monuments, allowing researchers to study alignments without touching the originals. Artificial intelligence analyzes global patterns across sites, revealing hidden connections between distant cultures. Meanwhile, indigenous astronomers collaborate with astrophysicists to decode petroglyphs using star mapping software. This fusion of past and future knowledge could be the key to preserving not just the stones themselves, but the celestial wisdom they embody. What's at stake isn't just archaeology, it's our shared human legacy. These stargates are more than relics. They're invitations to remember how deeply our ancestors were woven into the cosmos. Every solstice alignment still functions. Every carved spiral still echoes the shape of galaxies. To lose them would be to sever one of our last living links to a time when humanity didn't just observe the heavens but danced with them. The stones have kept their promises across millennia. Now it's our turn to keep ours. Standing in the shadow of Newgrange's massive entrance stone, your fingertips tracing spirals carved by hands long turned to dust. Time collapses into a single moment. The chill of the rock seeps into your skin, the same cold those builders felt 5,000 years ago when they hauled these boulders across hills and rivers. You're not just a visitor here, you're a participant in an unbroken chain of wonder. The solstice light that once illuminated their faces now touches yours, bridging centuries with a beam of gold. It's an intimacy that textbooks can't convey. The realization that these stones weren't placed for gods or aliens, but for people who laughed, mourned, and marveled at the sky just as we do. There's a quiet rebellion in these moments. In a world of scrolling screens and artificial light, standing before a stargate forces you to slow down. At Karnak, as you walk between the endless rows of standing stones, the modern obsession with progress feels suddenly small. The builders didn't need silicon chips to track celestial cycles. They used granite and patience. Their legacy whispers that brilliance isn't measured by processing speed, but by persistence, by generations who watched the stars until their movements became as familiar as the lines on their own hands. Yet the most humbling realization comes at night, when you camp beside Scotland's Callanish stones and watch the moon rise between the pillars exactly as it did for Bronze Age shepherds. The boundary between past and present dissolves. The same constellations they saw Orion's belt, the Pleiades' glittering cluster, still hang above you, unchanged. You're sharing not just space with these ancient astronomers, but time. Their stones become mirrors, reflecting our own place in the cosmos, temporary custodians of knowledge that will outlast us, just as it outlasted them. What did they hope we'd understand? Maybe the answer isn't in grand theories, but in the quiet certainty that hums through these sites. The Maya didn't carve Venus tables to impress future archaeologists. They did it because the sky mattered. The same urgency pulses through Gobekli Tepe's animal pillars and Choco Canyon's solar daggers, a plea to remember that we're part of something vaster. Touching these stones isn't just about connecting with the past, it's about reclaiming our birthright as stargazers. As dawn breaks over the Intihuatana stone at Machu Picchu, casting no shadow for those fleeting solstice moments, you realize these monuments were never meant to be solved like riddles. They're invitations to look up, to question, to add our own chapter to humanity's longest story. The true message of the Stargates isn't carved in rock, but written in light. That wonder is our oldest language, and the cosmos still has secrets to share. The 28 megalithic stargates scattered across our planet aren't just relics of the past. They're living testaments to humanity's unbroken dialogue with the cosmos. Each stone, each alignment, whispers the same profound truth, that our ancestors didn't just live under the sky, they conversed with it. Whether it's the solstice light piercing Newgrange's inner chamber or the Pleiades framed by Delphi's sacred springs, these monuments transcend time and culture. They're not merely buildings, they're bridges between earth and heaven, crafted by hands that understood the stars as intimately as we understand the screens in our pockets. What's staggering is the universality of their language. From the deserts of Peru to the moors of Scotland, cultures who never met somehow arrived at the same celestial vocabulary. The Maya's Venus tables mirror the precision of Egypt's pyramid shafts, while the spiral carvings at Gobekli Tepe echo the constellations mapped by the ancestral pueblones. This isn't coincidence, it's evidence of a shared human instinct to reach beyond the horizon. The Stargates remind us that curiosity isn't a modern invention. It's etched into our DNA, as old as the first campfire stories told beneath a star-strewn sky. Yet the greatest mystery isn't how they built these monuments, but why they felt such urgency to do so. Were they tracking comets that once threatened extinction? Honoring gods who walked among the stars, or simply leaving a message in stone, a cosmic, "We were here for future generations." The theories divide scholars, but the stones themselves suggest something deeper. These alignments weren't just practical tools or religious symbols, they were acts of devotion, a way to tether human existence to the infinite. When the Inca anchored the sun to the Intihuatana stone, or when the Druids marked the moon's standstill at Stonehenge, they weren't just observing nature, they were participating in it, weaving their lives into the fabric of the universe. Today, as satellites map hidden chambers and AI decodes forgotten alignments, we're not just uncovering ancient secrets, we're rediscovering a lost way of seeing. The Stargates challenge our modern arrogance, proving that primitive cultures achieved feats we're still struggling to explain. They force us to confront a humbling possibility, that progress isn't always linear, and that some wisdom, written in shadow and solstice light, might have been brighter in the distant past than we've ever dared to admit. So the next time you gaze at the night sky, remember, you're part of the same story that began when the first human looked up and wondered. The stones still stand, the alignments still hold, and the cosmos still whispers its secrets to those willing to listen. The Stargates weren't built for gods or aliens, they were built for us, for you, and their greatest lesson isn't carved in rock but written in starlight, that the universe isn't out there. It's within us, and it always has been. The conversation began millennia ago. It's your